Another off day edition of Locked On Capitals is set to commence. We're going to talk about the Olympics. Are we actually going to go there? The World Juniors, what caps are going to be there? And the Arizona Coyotes can't even pay their taxes. Oh, Quebec City, get ready, bud.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals. I am your host, as always, the insider of the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, here for this Thursday, another off-day edition of Locked On Caps. Don't worry, this is the last one. Tomorrow, the Caps actually play a hockey game, as far as we know. Now, granted, by the time we're recording this, we do not exactly know what the positive cases are within the team with Washington Capitals. We know right now it's still Garnet Hathaway, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, and Nick Dowd. The team all got tested yesterday. We'll wait and see what the official word is today and then, of course, tomorrow. It's okay, though. Don't worry. I am solo today, but tomorrow I will be joined by Johnny Walton, joining us back on Friday to get set for the weekend set of games and kind of get caught up on how the Caps have been doing from the eyes of the longtime radio voice of the Washington Capitals as well. Like I said, also, we're going to talk about the Arizona Coyotes debacle, which, yeah, man. First of all, Katie Strang, MVP of the year. Her and Rick Westhead are battling it out right now for the Hart Trophy in terms of journalism. I don't know exactly what that is off the top of my head, but they are certainly kicking tail, those two. We'll get to that later on. We'll also talk about the couple Washington Capitals that are going to be battling, or Washington Capitals prospects that are going to be playing in the World Junior Championships this coming, the end of this month. And then, of course, in the next month, up in Edmonton. Down in what the heck? Why would it ever be south? Anyways, long story short, we'll do that. And also, here in a second, we'll talk about the Olympics. We'll kind of discuss. Obviously, there's a lot of players on this team that has the possibility of going to play for their respective countries if we get there. So we'll kind of touch on that whole story as we move along today. But I got to remind you guys that today's episode is brought to you by StatHero, the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it's you versus the house in head-to-head fantasy matchups. Winner take all, and you can sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey. Use the promo code hockey as well for 100% deposit match on stathero.com. And once again, of course, as always, thank you very much, folks, for making Locked On Capitals your first listen today and every day. And as you guys know, free and available on all platforms. So, the Olympics, this is where I want to start off today because I'm not saying this has been something I've been putting off for the last couple of weeks or whatnot, but it's been an ongoing, increasing discussion across just across the National Hockey League, because when the CBA was ratified or when it was extended, it was the big talking point that the players were going to be allowed to go to the Olympics. That was a huge talking point. I think we all can really agree on that, was that was how it was supposed to happen. They were supposed to have the opportunity to go play, all these players, and a lot of very notable players and guys that may have missed out on their prime opportunities in 2018, and some that are still good enough today to obviously do so. Well, with everything that is going on right now, that has obviously come into question here. The Washington Capitals obviously have a few guys that really could make a name for themselves. I'm not sure how many goaltenders are on the Russian 55 list, but certainly Ilya Samsonov, the way he's played this year, has certainly staked a claim that he may not be the starting goaltender for Russia. Hello, Vasilevsky. Hello, Sergei Bobrovsky. But certainly Ilya Samsonov has played well enough that maybe he can get a crack with the roster. But of course, there's other guys. There's Ovechkin, and if Backstrom were healthy, it'd been Nicholas Backstrom. Tom Wilson, as we found out, is on the 55-man list for Canada. And the list goes on and on. Unfortunately, Kuznetsov is still serving a suspension with the IOC, so therefore he will not be allowed to play in this coming Olympics, serving a suspension. So the thing is with this is that there's two issues, obviously, with going to the Olympics right now that the National Hockey League is pondering and considering. One, the obvious human rights neglect or negligence in the country of China. If you guys have not heard or have not seen, both the United States and Canada and according to Boris Johnson, presumably going on a diplomatic boycott of the games. Now, that does not mean that they're not going to compete the athletes. That more or less means that they're not going to send a delegation, government officials, so on and so forth, like most countries would during a normal Olympics. Even during the Tokyo Games in this past summer, we saw a lot of even American delegates and Canadian delegates, so on and so forth, from all other countries going to the games. Not as many, obviously, because it was still a very pandemic-related games, but that's where we're at right now. And we're starting to see, obviously, NHLers voice their kind of displeasure with going to the games as well. Most notably, Robin Leonard. He was seemingly going to be one of the top goaltenders to possibly be the Swedish netminder. And what happens? He says, no, I don't feel like it. It doesn't seem safe right now. I'm going to take the time off instead. Good for Robin for sticking to his guns. And obviously, as Robin has always done, been very vocal about his personal opinions and beliefs. And, I commend him for that. Not many players would be willing to do that. And I'm really interested to see what Sweden does moving forward with there. They obviously still have a very good goaltending pool. I'm not going to say that's not true. I'm just saying, though, it's interesting to see one of the top guys at the top of his game right now in Robin Leonard saying that he does not want to go represent his country, not because of the fact that he doesn't want to play for Sweden. I'm sure he does. He just kind of has that very calm mindset of realizing, hey, this may not be a good time to do that. Now, which is a bummer for people like me that kind of see Robin Leonard's age and, how long is he going to be good? Is he going to be good in 4 more years? Because there's still talk that they may not even go back to Italy in 2026, which is just, for me, it's this whole game of ping pong that I'm not a whole fan of. I'm sure you guys would love to see the NHLers every single Olympics as well. Now the crazy question is the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are screaming at the top of their lungs that why, is there going to be hockey still if the NHLers don't go? I would think so. I would think there'd be some players, similar to what we saw in Pyeongchang in 2018, players that are, whether it be in the American League or minor leagues here in the United States and North America, or even playing in Sweden and Finland. I mean, my good buddy Chad Billins, who plays in the Swedish Elite League, he was going to represent the United States. Former Fair State Bulldog, Chad Billins, by the way. So, it's not like there's not going to have hockey, but the reason why also with the NHL being very hesitant, and this is what they stated as well, they have until next month to state whether or not they can go. I think it was January 10th, early January, to say whether or not they can go. And before people say, well, that's not a whole lot of time to put a hockey team together, you need to find 25 to 30 players. I forget how many you can bring, but you can get together a bunch of guys in that amount of time to play in an Olympic tournament. They do it all the time for the World Championships. They can figure it out for the Olympics. But my point is that there is an issue right now with obviously the growing Omicron variant of COVID-19. That was in the clause when the NHL signed and said, we'll allow you to go to the Olympics if this pandemic is under control. Now, I don't know how everyone's individual states or individual provinces or wherever you live, wherever your country you're in, how the cases are going. But in my neck of the woods up here in Michigan, they're not going too well. We've been averaging close to about 7,000 positive cases every single day for the past 2 to 3 weeks. And deaths are also in triple digits over those days spans as well. I know in Ontario, I think I just heard yesterday that there were over 1,000 cases just yesterday alone, which for them was certainly a high that they have not reached in a little bit. And so certainly cases are on the rise across the world, across the globe. China, of course, is, where the beginning of this virus became. And yes, that is why the NHL is skeptical about sending players over. And of course, now management is also the same way about it, because obviously it's one of those things where the ruling is if you test positive in China and Beijing, you have to sit there for 3 weeks in quarantine, come back, and then probably will have to sit more time in quarantine after that. So not just the fact that if you get to the Final Four, if you get to this, the semifinal game in the Olympics, you test positive, all of a sudden you've been there for 2 weeks and you have to sit for another 3 weeks. It's something where it's going to be a problem. I think we can all admit that it's going to be a problem of some kind. And I don't know if the NHL, obviously they're going to wait until the last minute. They're going to wait until January and say, all right, no. And I'm sure there'll be some players that are going to be mad about it. We can make it work. We'll be safe. It's like one of those things that, like, when a mom says, like, nope, you're not riding your bike. It is rainy outside. It's wet. You're going to slip and you're going to fall and you're going to hurt yourself. But mom, I'll be okay. I'll ride slowly over to Timmy's house. Well, guess what? That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to not get hurt. And one last thing before we move on from the Olympics here, I'll just kind of give you a quick look at really who has a shot from the Washington Capitals roster to actually make it to, or actually probably will be playing for their country come the Olympics. Vitek Vanacek, obviously, playing for the Czech Republic. I think he'll be a very good guy there. Martin Fehervary has certainly worked his way into the Slovakian lineup, if you ask me. Dmitry Orlov will be on the Russian team for sure. And Nick Dowd, Nick Dowd's an interesting one because he has both American and English citizenship. I don't know, is the UK got a team this year? Let me quick take a look here before I remember this. Olympic Hockey Pool 2022. Ice hockey 2022 Olympics. England is not in it this year. Darn. England's always one of those teams, especially if you guys remember watching the World Championships. Like, they're just a fun team to watch. So I'm one of those people that's like, you know what, this could be interesting. Of course, we did hear, of course, that China will be playing in the Olympics, and they'll be in the same pool as Canada and the United States. Yeah. That's not going to be a good time. Not going to be a good time at all. I get it. You want to have the home country represented, the host country represented, but I mean, here's the difference between the men's hockey team and the women's hockey team in China. The women's hockey team's actually been around and been a little bit more stable than the men's team. Now, yes, they have not been as successful as the men's, or not as successful as some of the other countries, of course, but they've at least been competitive and been in more top competition than the men's team has. This could get really ugly in Group A. Moving along, Lars Eller will most likely be playing for Denmark. Carl Hagelin, I think, is certainly a lock for Sweden. I don't know. Anthony Mantha on the outside. The Canadian roster is just so deep. You could probably have 3 teams, and they would still probably compete well from Canada. TJ Oshie will, as long as he stays healthy, will be at the United States. Obviously, we're going to see Alexander Ovechkin with Team Russia. And it's a bummer that there's no Belarus this year, because I really think Alexei Protas could have made that roster. I think that would have been very interesting. Daniel Sprong is both Dutch and Canadian. No Netherlands, though, in this year's World in the Olympics. But so, yeah, those will probably be the Capitals that you will see if the NHL decides to let their players go to the Olympics. We'll kind of move things along here, and we'll get to more international hockey, but the World Junior side of things here in just a moment, talking about some Capitals that will be there in Edmonton representing their countries, and also possibly some players that we can watch out for that may be on the draft board for Washington coming up this offseason. But guys, I got to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by StatHero. No one plays daily fantasy sports to lose, and winning feels so much better, but traditional fantasy sports are a long-term losing proposition because you never know who or what you're up against. Well, StatHero is the first of its daily fantasy sports platform where it's you versus the house in head-to-head fantasy matchups where it's winner take all. The crazy part, StatHero shows you their lineups before you play, and you get to handpick the team you want to face them one-on-one. This never-before-seen innovation of a fantasy sports and sports betting hybrid has StatHero players clocking odds that are over 4 times better. Why? Because you don't have to compete against thousands of experts or unknowns, because StatHero puts you in control of your fate. With StatHero, you are in control of the stakes, and you decide how much you're going to play and StatHero has no choice but to take it because they're daring you to beat them. StatHero head-to-head is what daily fantasy should be, one-on-one. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey by using the promo code hockey for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/hockey, promo code hockey. Terms and conditions apply. And guys, today's episode is also brought to you by Stance. Founded in 2009, Stance Apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel with a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity. Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborators for the ultimate in style and self-expression, because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. What are some of your favorite designs? Mention some of them, because Stance has the apparel that you like to wear most, and it's very soft, very comfortable, and obviously it's comparable to even some of the highest end brands and not nearly as expensive either. Stance believes that's the perfect fit matters, and with more than fitting in, those who feel good do good. Go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase by using the promo code locked on at checkout to apply. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. So, the World Junior Championships, literally my favorite part of the holiday season. I love presents. I love Christmas. I love Santa Claus. I love caroling. I love going to watch Christmas lights, drinking hot cocoa, and eating an inanimate amount of red and green M&Ms. However, the World Junior Championships right after Christmas is certainly a good post-holiday treat. Once again, this year will be in Edmonton and Red Deer. I should have probably clarified that. I'm really interested to see how it goes this year. Obviously, there's a couple of players that are available for certain teams. Some, as far as we know, obviously the United States and Canada, they have players that have been invited to camp, but as of yet, though, obviously they need to make the final roster. However, there's a couple that are going to be pretty good coming out of Canada. One we've already seen this year for the Washington Capitals. But let's jump over to Sweden first. Though the only roster, by the way, I should say, that have been released are Sweden, Finland, Canada, and the United States. Like I said, once again, Canada, United States camp rosters. They obviously need to make some final cuts before they make it to Edmonton later on this month. But Sweden has a really good, talented player, someone that got drafted in the 7th round in 2020, Oscar Magnuson, plays for AIK in the Swedish 2 League and Allsvenskan League. And, not a bad player. He is a forward, and he only has 2 goals and 4 assists. But this is a guy that's played top-level hockey before. He's been there for a cup of coffee with the Malmo Redhawks, playing in the Swedish Elite League, before jumping to AIK this year, wanted some more playing time. Malmo is obviously looking in a different direction. But, this is a guy that he's quick, he's creative, he's confident in his abilities, likes to drive the net. And, he could be a guy that eventually later on that the Caps can bring into the system and start to mold even more. He's not like I'm not saying he's a young spry chicken, but, he's only 18 years old, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's how old he's not. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's 18 years old. He can play forward and defense too, which is nice. I think he's a really good, talented hockey player, but obviously they're going to use him more as a forward. Will Sweden? I'm interested to see what kind of role he'll play, because Sweden they have a stacked team too. They're going to have Simon Edmondson, a Red Wings prospect. There's a lot of other top end picks coming from this hockey club. He's not a big guy either, but he's, like I said, for being only 5'10", only 165 pounds, he does like to skate hard, drive the net hard. This is a guy as well we should probably mention once again. He is of age where he could play. I believe he could play. No, he could only play this year. This could be his only year World Juniors. So I really think he's going to have a good turnout. Obviously, someone that the Washington Capitals would love to keep their eyes on. The only other two that, as of right now, we probably are almost a lock to go play in the World Juniors this year are Hendricks Lapierre and Vincent Ayorio. Vincent Ayorio plays for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western League. I've always been interested in him because he obviously got invited to camp, got sent down pretty early. But this is a growing boy. He's 6'3", and he's already 200 pounds at the age of 19. A guy that has played for the Shaddix system, Shaddix St. Mary's, this is his 4th season with the Wheat Kings, and is probably on pace right now to have a career high in points and possibly goals as well. In only 22 games so far, he has 2 goals and 13 assists for 15 points. His career high was 21 points, and that was in the COVID-shortened 1920 season, and that was in 59 games. So, even after coming out of the World Junior break, this is a guy that can certainly have a career year with the Wheat Kings. He has a shot. He is an absolute really good at moving the puck out of his own zone. Pinpoint accuracy, really good vision, doesn't really get too rattled, at least at the junior level. And apparently, from what I've been told and what I've seen from him, he's really good at making a stretch pass. And especially in the NHL nowadays, where everyone just likes to fly out of the zone and they like to throw that 150-foot chip pass in, from a long range out. If you can hit it from tape to tape, that's really good. And I'm really excited to see how he plays on this Canadian roster that is shaping up to be another pretty good one. And the reason why I mentioned pretty good is because there's 2 draft eligible players, one this year, one next year, Shane Wright and Connor Bedard. Now, once again, I should probably, just for the sake of everything, should mention those are guys that are hopefully the Washington Capitals do not have a shot at getting unless they were to, trade down. Brent Brochu, goaltender out of the London Knights, also invited to camp. Not sure if he's going to get in on the main roster, but he's going to be a guy that's going to be draft eligible next year as well. If the Caps want to bolster their goaltending, because Hunter Shepard is probably their best prospect right now in terms of actually young prospect, Hunter Shepard. But unfortunately, Phoenix Copley and Zach Bucali, the other 2 prospects for the Capitals, both a little bit older. So maybe if Brent Brochu is around when the Capitals need him. No one really, though, or I forgot to mention the other guy on Team Canada that is from the Washington Capitals, Hendricks Lapierre. Yes, you guys remember Hendricks Lapierre, a guy that I was really excited about, a guy that we went back and forth on. Will he make the lineup? Will he be opening night with Connor McMichael? Who's going to be? They both make the team, and Hendricks Lapierre scores in his first game. Now, yes, in his games that he played later on, it was not nearly as flashy, not nearly as certainly memorable, but you could see that there is an upside to this young man. If he gets the right amount of games and the right amount of development, I think he can be a very, certainly a big-time player for the Washington Capitals moving forward. He is back with Acadie Bathurst Teton of the Quebec Major Junior League. I really think that this guy is going to turn into something here. I really hope so too. Because the thing is with him is that the more he plays down there, the more he'll develop into a more complete player. Once again, if Nicholas Backstrom isn't hurt, I don't think we're having this conversation of saying, oh, remember he scored his first goal. Well, let's put it this way. If you want to know how good he's been since he came back to juniors, in 9 games, as per usual, he is a very dynamic playmaker. He has 14 points, 12 of them assists in 9 games back with Teton. Even his best year with with Chicoutimi, 45 points in his rookie season in 18-19. Only had 13 goals, still a career high. So he's not necessarily, like I said, he's not a big goal scorer, which was crazy, the fact that he scored his first NHL goal right off the hop. But he's a great playmaker, and I think Canada's going to really like him when they arrive in Edmonton later this month. So those are the World Junior guys to watch out for. Obviously, there's a lot of draft-eligible prospects, and we don't have all the rosters yet. We'll do a little bit more of that stuff when we get closer to Game 1 on Boxing Day. Yeah! Woo! Boxing Day. It's going to be so much fun. Boxing Day, and then every day until, the gold medals and silver medals handled out. Anyway, so we're going to touch on the Arizona Coyotes story here in just a minute. We have to. It's a really stupid story, but it's the most Arizona Coyotes thing we could possibly get to. But guys, I got to tell you, do you have a beard? Well, you got to get Primal. Yeah, that's right. Got beard, get Primal. If you are someone cares about their beard, they need to get Primal, because maybe you're the guy that has never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product, as Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. Products are free from harmful and synthetic ingredients and with low impact on the planet. Primal Origin Oils makes balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel beard and products available. All products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the United States. We all know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and then the feel in beard to other products you've used. We promise you will see and feel the difference. Remember, the promo code is locked on to get 20% off at Primal Origins or at primaloriginoils.com. Locked on for checkout, 20% off at lockedonprimaloriginoils.com. And of course, guys, it's the holiday season and it's still football season. And BetOnline has you covered for all season with more props and lines than ever before as the march to the playoffs continues. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season by heading to their new updated desktop or mobile website today to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using the promo code LOCKEDON. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, do not wait. Take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, the Arizona Coyotes. Just when you thought we weren't going to talk about them anymore this season, thinking, this will just be another last place team. But then Katie Strang comes out with this massive sledgehammer upside the head saying, listen here, you little turduckins, they're going to be kicked out of their barn. Listen, it's very widely known that the city of Glendale saying that there's no home for them next season. Well, as we've learned in the last 12 hours, they may not have a home by Christmas. December 20th is the deadline for the Arizona Coyotes to pay off allegedly more than $1.3 million in unpaid state and city taxes. The Arizona, according to Katie Strang from The Athletic, on December 3rd, so earlier this week, or no, last week, holy cow, the Arizona Department of Revenue filed a tax lien notice in Maricopa County against Ice Arizona Hockey LLC, the company that owns the Coyotes, for the $1.3 million. And Coyotes president and CEO Xavier Gutierrez on the cancellation of the Coyotes business license. And here's the thing. All right, so this pretty much means that they have to pay it off by December 20th. And the city of Glendale is owed approximately $250,000 in unpaid city taxes, according to a letter from city manager Kevin Phelps to Gutierrez. The state tax lien obtained via public records request asserts that the Coyotes owe taxes dating back to June of 2020. In case you are curious, folks, that was the third month of the pandemic we find ourselves still in, which is creeping slowly towards 2 years. Folks, there have been at least 2 sets of children that have been born since the Arizona Coyotes have had to owe the city that they play in money. Now, the National Hockey League, the model that they want to have is that their teams that they play in their arenas, that they own the arenas in some form or another. Most of them do. One of them in particular, hello Arizona, are the Coyotes. They rent out of Gila River Arena, just right across the parking lot, from, is it University? Wherever the Cardinals play. I don't know if it's still University of Phoenix Stadium, but whatever. Long story short is this. The Arizona Coyotes are just, it just adds to the story of why the heck are they still there? According to Katie Strang, the Coyotes still have a right to an informal hearing on the matter should they file a written request within 10 days, but they did not immediately respond to a request or for comment, according to Katie Strang. Now, also in case you're curious, like I said, the December 20th deadline is at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, therefore, 7 o'clock our time here on the east side. So pretty much saying, by the time the puck drops on the set of games by December 20th, if $1.3 million is not paid by the Arizona Coyotes, they're looking for another rink. Listen, I'm not saying, I know I joked about it earlier in the open that, Quebec City, get ready. I'm not going that far yet. That's not going to be set in stone, because remember when this story broke that they're not going to be allowed to play somewhere next year, everyone's like, all right, Quebec City, let's bring back the Nordique. Let's go. Well, everyone kind of shot that down because obviously the National Hockey League still wants to have Arizona be a thing. However, as we've seen in the last, like I said, 12 hours and change, the Arizona Coyotes don't even want the Arizona Coyotes to be a thing. By the way that this franchise has treated from the top down, the ownership down to the players, nobody wants this clearly to happen because there is zero effort to have a good standing franchise in that stinking state. Okay? I'm sorry. Long are the days of Jeremy Roenick and Nikolai Habibulin and Wayne Gretzky trying to coach this godforsaken franchise. Why is this team shoved down our throats? The fact that they're abysmal this year just only adds to the fact that this is a franchise that should no longer be around. By the way, the first home game for the Coyotes after that 20th deadline is December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, allegedly. Now, I don't know if this story coming out is going to push the Coyotes to really pay this off, because as we've learned, this is a team that, according to Katie Strang's work from last season, this is a team that has found a way to swindle their way through the last couple of seasons. And the fact that they own almost $250,000 dating back to, like I said, the middle of the pandemic, when we didn't even know we were going to have a 2020 playoffs. That is how long ago this story began. And not just the fact that they're trying to not pay for toilet paper or Bill Armstrong being a jerk to all the employees. This is a franchise that has shown that their negligence is starting to really now require government assistance to kick them out of there. Because if you can't pay the taxes to have a home for your team, what is the point? Like, the San Jose Sharks were able to come in and rent out of your stinking rink. Like, that's how abysmal. The San Jose Sharks, who were god awful last season, they even had the money to pony up and make sure that they could have a home. Granted, not even in the same state. Like, honestly, think about this, guys. Think about how stupid the Arizona Coyotes look right now. And my poor buddy Louis Pannone, who's been covering the Coyotes, is a fan of the Coyotes since day one. Holy cow. This team is abysmal. And hey, guess what, Coyotes fans? Any of you still out there after this whole debacle, and or at least by the end of this year, this calendar year, not the season, the calendar year, you're not going to have Austin Matthews be able to save your butts now, kids. Holy smokes. This is an embarrassment of a franchise. Like, honestly, at least back in the 70s and 80s when John Ziegler was running this league, as bad as it may have been at times, at least he even knew. I'm like, you know what? The Kansas City Scouts are not working out, guys. Let's kind of get rid of them and let's at least move them to Colorado. Oh, shoot, that's not working out. Don Cherry couldn't save this franchise. Let's move them to New Jersey. Let's let the mobsters run it. That may work out. It kind of has. Oh, my goodness, guys. The Cleveland Barons, we gave them an NHL franchise. Crap. What are we going to do? Well, there's some spots on the Minnesota North Stars. Sweet. Put them together. You know what, guys? Minnesota's not working out. There's some people that want to move it down to Dallas. Let's do that. Well, that kind of worked out. It's still kind of working out to today. I mean, as wild as kind of their teams moving around in that era, at least they kind of had an idea to try something different and not try to keep making the same thing work. I'm sorry, guys, when the Oakland Seals or the California Golden Seals, whatever the hell you want to call them, when they realized that wasn't going to work, they moved him out of there. Now, yes, hockey in California works thanks to Wayne Gretzky, of course. We have to say that because God forbid if he never went there, if he stayed in Edmonton, Anaheim Ducks, and the Mighty Ducks movies in general would never have become a thing, probably at least. The story of this here is the fact that the Arizona Coyotes are a franchise that literally is the definition of Mean Girls and trying to make fetch happen. I'm sorry. Stop trying to make Arizona happen. It is an embarrassment to the league. It is stupid that the fact that the league thinks that we still want that the rest of the league. I know there's folks in Arizona, in Phoenix, in Glendale that want the Arizona Coyotes around. Like I said, there are people down there that cheer for them. Here's the rest of the league, though. We don't want it. Nobody wants it. If this team was successful, if they were like the California teams, that they had a good financial stability and they had owners that obviously really cared and wanted to make this team successful, sure, then maybe we could make it happen and be happy for them. But we can't because we see that the ownership doesn't give two craps about how it works, and they're trying to swindle their way to say that on their resume that they own an NHL team. And I really hope that in the near future, and I mean pretty quickly here, that turns to past tense and owned an NHL franchise. This is a joke. This whole team is a joke. This franchise is a joke. The team on the ice sucks. The management sucks. The ownership sucks. I'm sorry. I'm on the city of Glendale side on this one. Kick them out. Get rid of them. Because obviously they have shown negligence. They don't care. They think that they're above the law, obviously. If you're not paying your flipping taxes. Heck, Happy Gilmore's grandmother got kicked out of her own little small house because she didn't pay taxes. How about we just kick the Coyotes out of Arizona in general and move them somewhere to a city that wants an NHL team and by golly will actually give a crap and actually work to make sure that team is successful. Wherever that may be. Quebec? Maybe. Houston? Haven't heard any good things come out of there, so probably not. I don't know where else it could be, but I'm just saying this right now. There needs to be another city out there that the Coyotes can move the franchise to that will actually give a rat's behind and actually put together a decent National Hockey League franchise, because this is a joke of a team, a joke of a franchise, and I'm sorry if I made anyone mad about this. I'm sorry. It's stupid. And guess what? Hey, if that happens and move to Quebec City, that's one less game on the West Coast trip or Western trip, folks, for us or Capitals fans. There you go. Because we don't have to go to stupid Glendale and go to a Coyotes team that can barely function as a whole. Anywho, after that rambling bit of yelling and screaming and displeasure, by the way, I should probably mention that my ACT argumentative essay, ACTs were the Michigan version of the SATs that we had back when I was in high school. My argumentative essay was about how the Phoenix Coyotes at the time should no longer be a franchise due to financial instability, poor ownership, yada, yada, yada. I wrote that when I was a junior in high school in 2012. It's over 9 years later, kids. Almost 10 years later. Still a joke. Arizona Coyotes. Way to go, guys. Hey, what do you want for Christmas? A new team. There you go. Put that on your Christmas list and send that crap to Santa. That is it for Locked On Capitals Thursday edition here, folks, for this December the 9th. We'll be back tomorrow, like I said, with John Walton to talk about the Caps. Get ready for the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Could be a fun matchup. Caps will be well rested, missing a couple players, but it could be a fun one on Friday night. Follow us, folks, at Locked On Caps on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29. You see right there on the bottom of your screen if you're watching us on the Locked On Capitals YouTube channel. If you're not, that's okay. I understand. You're probably listening to us on your favorite podcatcher as well. That's okay. As long as you're here and involved with me in this lovely sport we call hockey, where only good things happen and only good people are involved. Yeah. Be sure to go check out Locked On Bets. Make that your second listen of the day, where your boy Q and Lee Sterling give you expert analysis on your favorite gambling needs. Back tomorrow on another episode of Locked On Caps, where hopefully I don't have to criticize an entire franchise and their franchise's history. Goodbye, everybody.